This past Thursday, I went to the monthly pastor's luncheon with Somebody Cares Tampa Bay. It's a time once a month that the pastors involved get to meet, have lunch, talk about happenings, prayer requests, and pray together. They're usually like, 12 to 20 people that come. This past Thursday, I usually try to sit with somebody different, and this past Thursday I sat with Chaplain Edie. Chaplain Edie is the chaplain at the Pinellas County Jail. Now, a fantastic lady, and I just want to share lunch with her. Well, anyway, Pastor Ray Chester with the Upper Pinellas Ministerial Alliance joined us. And Pastor Ray and Chaplain Edie started having a conversation that fascinated me. I just listened. And what they got to talking about was they got to talk about names. And, talk about youth. Youth are in trouble. Pastor Ray works a lot with kids who are about to go to prison, are on trial, in prison, or getting out of prison. Sometimes these kids, and I mean kids, make a mistake and it can become a life sentence. It's a record that follows you. So he works with diversion programs with the sheriff's department, with county officials, the jail, probation, to help these kids, give them a second chance. Whole sermon right there, but that's not what I want to talk about. What they were talking about was names. And Pastor Ray said something about, one of the attractions of gang life is that kids get a name. They can identify with the gang, but they get to use that name. And Chaplain Edie was agreeing with that. And I'd never thought of that before. So I listened. And Chaplain Edie said something after that. She said, that makes sense. When she was a young girl, she was a baby girl in her family, and her father told her something, which got to saying, probably told her 1,000, 5,000 times. But she remembered it. And, she's an adult, mid-career, second half of her career. But her father told her what she said. And is that riches or fame I cannot give you, but what I can give you is my name. Don't do anything that'll bring shame or dishonor to our name. And it was a way for her to identify, and it was just, it struck me. And what it made me think of is made me think of a Bible study we did last Thursday in Job. But before I get to that, you do see names are important in the Bible. You see in, Genesis 32, where Jacob and Laban are going to meet, Jacob and Esau are going to meet. And that night he goes to sleep and he has a dream where he wrestles with God. And God, the man in Scripture, says, "What is your name?" to Jacob. Jacob tells him, he says, "No, now your name is going to be Israel." Jacob asks God, "Tell me your name. I will not let you go until you tell me your name." Now, Bible scholars say that's because people in this day used to think that when you encounter a supernatural being, that you could invoke their name for power, for magic. And looking at Jacob's character, that makes sense. But it was interesting that this is all focused on name. And then it made me think of Proverbs 22:1. It says there that a good name is to be desired more than great riches. And then you look at Jesus. What does it say in Philippians? It says, "And he has a name, Jesus, that is above every other name." You know, our name kind of is our identity, even here in America. I mean, what names do we see today? Johnson, John's son. You know, it's an identity, an identifier. Oh, there goes John's son. I mean, even with Jesus in the Gospels when he comes back to his town, what is recorded there when he comes back to his village? You know, the promised Messiah. Isn't this the carpenter's son, Jesus? Didn't we grow up with him? In other words, his name implies, yeah, he was a good guy, but he's not the Messiah. So it's interesting when I thought on this, on how important it is to have a good name. Now, back to Bible study last Thursday. Job. Young lady taught on Job chapter 1 and 2. What struck me about this, if you're not familiar with the story of Job, in there, Job is a righteous man, really, really blessed, really rich, great family, lots of possessions, and a really tight relationship with God. He honors and worships him. But all of a sudden, you get a view of this council that comes together. It says that the sons of man and Satan with them came up to have an audience with God. Now, in my mind, what I always imagine is it's like 21st century America. You know, they go up and there's a conference table. Everyone sits around the conference table. God is at the head, you know, the speakerphone in the middle. And God says to Satan, have you seen my servant Job, the most righteous man there is? And Satan challenges God. And he says, of course he's righteous. Let me take everything he has, and he will curse you to your face. Let me afflict his life, and he will curse your name. Now, to Job's credit, well, first God gives Satan permission. To Job's credit, he does not dishonor God's name. But what always strikes me is, where are those angels? They're still sitting at the conference table. God knows what Job's going to do. The angels don't. And they're sitting there saying, cheering Job on. Come on, Job, you can do it. Don't dishonor God's name. And in the New Testament, what does it say? There is rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents. Again, can you imagine? The angels, all heaven, cheering us on. Come on, make the right decision. Honor God's name. So what I want to leave you with, what I want to leave all of us with, actually, this applies to me as well as anybody. Good heavens. As we talk to people, as we go out living our lives, we have that choice. Lift up God's name, dishonor God's name. You know, give us a good name, or we can get notoriety for a not so good name. I challenge you, I challenge us, honor God's name. Let's bring him honor, and let him show us honor by showing him that we rely on him for everything. We give him everything, and he gives us even more. Honor God's name. So, that's what I learned this week. That's what I wanted to share with you. Guys, thanks, and hope you have a fantastic week, and enjoy the game today.